ABC News.
Good morning, this is your Cherry Peak Ski Report for Saturday, April 8th, 2023. Live from the Snowcat, we have a mid-mountain base depth of 88 inches with no new snow in the past 24 hours. Roads to mountain are bare and dry, and the skies are partly cloudy. Today's operational hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. day skiing and 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. for night skiing. We'll be operating Vista, Gateway, and the Summit Lift. We'll also be operating the Magic Carpet. This will service the Bunny Hill and tubing. Be sure to complete your digital waiver for all tubing tickets. Well, today's the day. Yes, it's Easter weekend. We've got our Easter egg hunt that kicks off at 11:30 a.m. It will come down True Blue and the Bunny Hill. For ages 12 and under, come on up, gather your sweets and treats and prizes. Get your baskets ready. Also, we've got our Easter Bunny sculpting contest. It's not too late. Sign up this morning. We've got great prizes up to $500 in snow dough. Go to skicpr.com for any further information and details. We'll catch you at the peak.
The following is a paid program of commercial time on KVNU. The information, offers, and claims are solely those of the sponsor and not the opinions of this station, its affiliates, management, or employees. It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Oh, we've waited a long time for a morning like this. Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden joining us in the studio this morning. We'll feel right along with you. And special guest that we'll be introducing in just a minute. Mark, it finally starting to feel like spring.
It feels like spring. It's like I got out the door this morning and it actually kind of feels like spring today.
Yeah.
And it's like the first time this year where I can actually say that.
Heading down this morning, I jumped in the car. I didn't have to scrape the windshields or anything like that.
I know. How nice is that?
Beautiful.
I looked at the temperature at my house, and it was 36 when I left. So it didn't freeze overnight, which is really nice. Hopefully we'll see a lot of that snow melt today.
Yes. In gradual proportions so that we can kind of contain it and control it.
Yes.
But yes, we are ready for the snow to be gone.
60s and 70s, that's what we want here.
So I think looking ahead, we're looking at possibly 60s by middle of next week.
That would be awesome. That would be great. That's what we need. We need the soil to dry out so we can get out there and plant some early crops.
Yeah.
I can't think of a time where we couldn't get out there, like actually physically couldn't get out there and plant vegetables in the garden in March, like nothing.
I went and was looking at our rhubarb plants that we have it's actually the east side face of our home, and it's been buried and just finally it started to melt. And I was looking there, I was thinking, well, Mark was saying his rhubarb are up. Mine, nothing yet. Those plants are like, don't even think about wanting us to come out.
Yeah, starting to grow underneath the snow is what's happening. But like as I watched some sections of snow melt yesterday, the grass is greening up underneath there as well too. So those plants can tell that the time is right. Yeah, plants can tell, even though the snow would say otherwise. So not very nice. Just not very nice. But a lot happening at Anderson Seed and Garden. So of course, our bare root sale has been extended well into April. So we have a great selection of fruit trees and everything you can think of: apples, pears, cherries, apricots, plums. Peaches, lots of peaches and nectarines to choose from. So a lot of trees. They have been covered with snow the last couple of weeks, I have to admit, but they are ready to be planted. If somebody can dig a hole and it doesn't fill up with water, we can get out there and plant those. But all of our small fruits are available as well, too. So I just got a nice batch of potatoes in yesterday, new shipment of asparagus. Strawberries are all here. The only thing we're waiting for is like raspberries, but our raspberries are all local, and so they just too much snow.
Yeah,
just can't dig out there and get them. So we're hoping maybe by the end of this coming week, maybe we'll have our local raspberries ready to go. But blueberries and grapes are here, and currants and gooseberries, and everything's like ready to be planted. Pansies looking great in the greenhouse. We got some gorgeous primrose. We've got some early vegetables, and bulbs are here. So spring bulbs are here. So dahlias and glads and lilies, and it's just time to get going.
Yeah, it is. It is. Everybody's looking forward to getting out and enjoying some of the sunshine. I took a long lunch yesterday and ran up around the university, and it was just beautiful. Yeah. So nice to actually not have to be bundled up, and I think other than just some gloves on my hands, shorts and a T-shirt, and it was nice.
Can't beat it.
Yeah.
Can't beat it. So a couple events coming up at Anderson's here in the near future. We've got our spring open house coming up the weekend of the 20th through the 22nd. So that's just in 2 weeks. Yeah, spring open house in 2 weeks. And so we're excited about that. And then we'll be doing our free planting event this year, which we haven't been able to do for basically 2 years to 2021.
That's
3
right.
years.
Yeah, 3 years because of COVID.
Yeah, we haven't done our planting event for 3 years. So it's like this will be the first time in 3 years we've done our planting events. That's coming up on the 29th. We're doing a little bit different this year, though. We're doing signups. So you've got to sign up for a specific time during the day so we can kind of keep our crowd control down, because we figure with everybody being excited about planting this year, we had to kind of control the volume of people that were coming in all at once. Yeah, because it just kind of made things overwhelming for us and difficult for the customers when everybody would show up at the same time. So we're kind of breaking it up throughout the day. So we have a whole bunch of different sign-up times where you can pick a time, and then you'll have 20 or 30 minutes to spend, with us planting up your stuff. So so it should work out pretty well. So you want to show up before your selected time, be able to pick out your plants so that, like, say if your scheduled time is at 10:20, you would come in at maybe 9:45, pick out plants, pick out your pots, and then when 10:20 rolls around, you'll be just ready to go, and our workers will be ready to plant all your stuff up. So with the spring planting event, what happens is if you come in and purchase plants and you purchase a pot, or you can even bring your own pots, we will pot them up for free for you. So that includes the soil that we'll use and our labor. So we will do that for complimentary. Yeah. So complimentary planting on the 29th of April, but you got to sign up for it. So you got to sign up for it, and information for that is I don't know if we've got that on our new website. We just implemented a new website this week, so we're kind of working the bugs out of it. But it's available on our social media. You can get information on how to do that. So
perfect timing, because in the past, of course, years ago when you were doing it, it's perfect because just before Mother's Day. So if you're looking for maybe planting something special for Mom for Mother's Day, a hanging basket or something like that.
And it's basically the last day of April. It's the 29th of April, so there's only one more day there. But usually we have lots of flowers available at that point, so that's nice. We'll have a good selection of flowers if the sun continues to shine this month. So
and we're hoping it will. And we want to mention we are in the studio today taking your calls this morning. So if you have calls, questions about planting, fertilizing, talk about taking care of your yard, helping to get your grass to start taking off, and dealing with snow mold, there's a lot that we have to talk about this morning.
So many things to talk about. Yes.
So 753-5868 is the phone number, or 1-800-369-5868. So call in with those questions and we'll get to those. But we first want to introduce a guest who is joining us this morning.
Absolutely. So we have a special guest here today. Dave, would you like to tell us a little bit about the Cash Gardening Club? So Dave with the Cash Gardening Club is here to talk about the new club that you've just started here in Cache Valley.
Well, I hope for starters that my words don't go ahead of my brain, because I'm so excited to be here.
Hey, it happens.
I'll do my best.
It happens to Will and I too. We're like tripping
even
over
at 8
our words
o'clock
all
on
the
a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
But I would like to join in on two of the topics before I talk about the garden club that you guys talked about. And one is Mark's bare root things. Last year I bought asparagus.
Yes.
2 different kinds. And you'll find with me I'm not college educated, so I'll refer to things as giant green and smaller purple, but that would be my asparagus, and I'm really excited for those to pop up. And I've always wanted asparagus. They did, of course. I didn't really. I picked a couple little babies off them last year just to eat them raw, just because I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
You
not
couldn't
do
wait.
It.
Yeah, you couldn't
but
wait.
They're like candy. If you don't know, if you just go out and pick asparagus, you don't have to cook it or anything. You eat it, and it's like candy.
So delicious.
Everybody needs to try it. And
so the varieties we've got are Purple Passion is the purple variety.
Yep,
the Purple Passion is really, really, really good. And then the other variety is called Jersey Night. And Jersey Night is an all-male variety, and so it's super, super productive. And the roots look amazing. We were bundling up some of the brand new ones yesterday into bundles of 25 and 15, and the roots just look perfect for planting.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And then the other thing I bought was artichokes. I've been an artichoke eater since I was a child, and I bought 2 different kinds, and those are going to be fun. They actually had, I think, 5 babies last year. They were so small I didn't try to pick them and eat them. Yeah. But I'm hoping for, either on your asparagus and your artichokes, you don't really expect much until year 2, but those are going to be my excitement. And Anderson's had those, and that was fun.
Yep, the asparagus really are the most productive from about year 7 to about year 20. That's when they really, really produce. And so the first year or 2, they're going. I mean, the roots that we bring in are already 2 years old. So on the if you plant them last year, they'll be 3 years old this year, and they'll really kind of start to get going. But when they hit year 5 or 7, that's when they just are really going at full production, and they'll do that for about 15 years.
So help me out on the asparagus for my second year. I'm going to want to go out and just pick the babies and eat them all the time. How many, let's say I have 10 spikes coming up. Yeah. How many should I leave and how many can I eat my second year?
Anything that is bigger than your pinky in diameter, you can harvest.
Okay.
Yeah, so anything that's bigger than your pinky, harvest all that. And there should be quite a few spears starting to come up that will be good size this year. As they start to emerge, let them get a little bit taller, and we'll usually take a really sharp knife and cut them off just slightly below the surface on a 45-degree angle. So 45-degree angle just below the surface, and just trim those off. Some people go out there and break them, and you can do that as well too. But if you do a nice 45 cut, the spears will heal faster, and then they'll produce more for you next year if you do that. But anything that's smaller than your pinky, you want to leave, and then it will come up, it will fern and drop seeds, and then you'll get more production. So,
I didn't know they would drop seeds so much.
Yeah, so those little ones, just let them go through the summer. They'll when it gets really hot, they'll just kind of fern out, and they'll produce seeds, and they'll drop seeds, and then you can have even more coming up.
And how about the artichokes? Am I good to just eat those as they come, or should I leave some?
Yep, absolutely on the artichokes. And really the best way to get those to winter over is to dig the roots up in the fall and kind of store those in like your cellar or somewhere where you've got a little bit of a controlled temperature. You don't want them to get too cold. As cold of a winter as we had, if you left them out in the soil, they may not make it. It was like 20 below. Yeah, 20 below this year. And so that could definitely do some damage to the artichoke. So usually we'll tell people in October, dig those up, keep the roots, store those in some like wood shavings or some peat moss or some...
like a canna bulb?
Yeah, exactly. Treat them like cannas and dahlias, vermiculite, coconut core, wood shavings would be great to store those. And then, this time of year, pot it back up, get it growing, and then by Memorial Day, you can take it and transplant it back outside. So
I didn't know that with the artichokes. Forgive me if I ask, but can I leave them in there and see if, as a scientific experiment, see if they keep coming?
Oh, yeah.
Do I have a chance they'll keep coming? I don't really want to do what you said.
We will find out this year if the snow cover protected them enough, but if you get cold enough temperatures, they're just not hardy enough. They just won't make it.
Oh, so they still will grow.
Yeah.
They just won't produce like I want them to.
They will be dead.
Okay. So I'll know. If they're alive, I'm good. If they're dead, they're dead.
They will be dead, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. They're a tender perennial is around here. Our winters are cold enough that they just won't be able to winter over. So just like your dahlia bulbs, if you left the dahlia bulbs in the ground, they'd be gone. They just turn to goo the next year. So,
well, the fun of gardening is we're learning all the time.
Exactly, and some years things are much more productive than others, and it's kind of a fun experiment to see what happens every year. So not too bad. But
so the second thing you guys were talking about was the winter and spring not coming and summer not coming. My wife's from Northern California, and she said to me the other day, "Oh no, we're not going to have the Manaway Poppy Festival this year. We're going to miss that." And I'm like, "Honey, they're going to still bloom. They're still there. They're under the snow. They may be popping up now, but I got news for you. If you haven't been to the Manaway Poppy Festival, it's something you need to just look up. It's online. There's websites, but what a little treasure we have in it. I was here 6 years or more before I even knew about it. But they're coming, and they will still come. They just may be a little delayed.
We just have a slow start to the season, so we're just going to have to push our cold crops, planting into April. But the way things are happening, you're going to see trees will bloom a little bit later, and the soil is going to be a little bit colder to start off with. But by the time we hit the 1st of July, soil temperature is going to be the same as what it usually is in July. I mean, it just will warm up, and plants will produce, and the vegetable gardens will be amazing, and we'll have lots of water. And I'll tell you what, the farmers will be excited about their second crop because they won't have to water it.
Yeah.
So first crop might not be quite as early as they usually get it, but I'll tell you what, second crop will be like absolutely amazing because it's not dry as a bone like it has been for the last 3 years. So not too bad. So there's some silver lining to having a wet, long spring for sure. So anyway, Cash Garden Club.
Yes.
What inspired you to start the Cash Garden Club?
Actually, you played into it, Mark, as I moved here 10 years ago, and I'm a passionate gardener, and I had a garden family in Spokane, Washington for over a decade, and those were my people. That's my social network, my group, my learning, my passion. Everything I did outside of work was all things gardening. And I came here, and I've talked to people, and they pointed me to Mark. They said, "Go talk to Mark Anderson. He'll point you in the right direction." I walked in. I said, "Okay, Mark, where are my people?" And he said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "The clubs." And he said, "There are none." I go, "No, I mean, where am I going to go to socialize and meet my people, to be with my people?" There is nowhere, Dave. No, I mean, I don't think you understand the question. Is where I need to be with my people, and I'm alone right now, and I'm jonesing for them. Where do I go? And he said, "Dave, you can start a club, but right now we have little splinter groups and things, lots of those, and praise all of you. Thank you for what you do, but we don't have a hub. We don't have a club." And so I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. You kidding me? That's a big responsibility. So I've been waiting, and nobody did it, you guys. So I'm here. I'm taking on the responsibility.
One thing that we always talk about at Anderson's every year is how social of a place it is. There's gardeners that love to come into the store when it's really, really busy because it's full of people that all like to do the same thing.
I'm one of them.
And they stand in line at the seed counter when they could, order them online and not have to worry about it. But they like standing in line and visiting with the people and talking and sharing experiences and sharing what was successful for them. And all of a sudden they see people they hadn't seen for a couple of years and sit and stand and visit for a while. And it's a social place. Gardeners like to be social.
Yeah. And I'm one of those. I've been in your store many times, and I'll start giving people advice in the annual section. That's my specialty. I love annuals, and half of them look at me like I'm crazy. Butt out, mister. It's none of your business. You don't work here. And the others will just eat up what I say, and I don't try to talk people out of things, but I'll just kind of listen to their questions and stuff, and I'm like, oh no, they're going to make a mistake, or oh no, there's a better choice, or oh, I can really help them with this, and I'm hungry to help and give in the areas that I know, and I haven't had a place, and so. The club, people say, what is it? And I want to look at it as a hub for all things gardening in Cache Valley. And I do have to throw out, I think we're going to have Weber County and southern Idaho. And there is no big club where people can congregate and grow and spread their word and their message.
And learn.
All the way from Salt Lake right now to here. And learn. Oh, absolutely learn. And so I want this club to, and I'm going to use the word I a lot, but it's we, it's everybody. We're all part of a big team, a big thing that's going to go on here. And I want to, there's so many little teeny, we have the butterfly people, and we have the iris, and I'm sure there's rose people. There's all kinds of little groups that meet, and then they leave, and they don't really have anywhere to go. And I want to have this big hub where we can all come, gather, network with each other, love each other, help the community, help the community, help the community. That I want to throw that out. And where do we do that? And that's what this is going to be. And
I think there's a lot of people that don't realize what to do with their excess. You can take it to the farmer's market and sell it, but you've got the cash food pantry that is more than happy to take excess. So it's like, I've got a really big garden. We always have extra stuff, and it's a great way to utilize the extra produce that you just can't bottle or can't freeze or you can't give away to people, and you can just take it to the food pantry.
Absolutely,
help people in the community that really need it. So
yeah, there's a lot of retired people in their one level over 55s right now that had huge yards, and they always had their vegetables, and now they're there. Man, I wish I had some tomatoes or some cucumbers, and then we have this other person that's literally throwing it away in the garbage or whatever. And I want a place where we can put those people together, and we can start not wasting things, but we can share and we can get people excited.
Nice. So the club's just starting to come together. You've got a meeting coming up here this month, right?
April 19th at the fairgrounds, the event center at 490 South, 500 West.
So what's that going to entail? So this is like your first big meeting.
Yeah, it's. I'm actually I'm a nationally award-winning gardener up in Washington, and I'm actually going to just tell my story from the first plants I bought to the end, and I'm going to show pictures, and I think you'll enjoy that. And then we haven't gotten it yet, but we're going to have some kind of a teaching lesson, and then I'm going to just talk about the club and the structure and where we want to go with it and the vision, and maybe a few other little things. But that'll just be our first meeting. Come and be a part of it. You don't have to. I don't want anybody to think if they come to our club they have to work. They have to be a worker bee. They say that only 10% of any club actually gets in and does the work. That's okay if you just want to come and watch for a while and find where your heart inspires you. Please do that. Don't think if I come to this meeting I don't have the time to get involved. Then just come to the meeting.
Right.
And then your heart's going to tell you where you want to get involved, what you want to do. We need help. We need workers. Everything now is pointing to Cash Garden Club at our Facebook page. Our website is cashgardenclub.com. If you just remember Cash Garden Club, you can go online. You won't find much there except our schedule for our first meeting, but that's gonna change fast. And as we need social media people, we have a great site designer, Jared Saunders. He's helping us do everything. He's a master. But we need people to manage those sites. It takes a team of people on the Facebook and the Instagram and the LinkedIn and the website, and we need those people. We need a lot of people. I don't want to say workers because this isn't work. We need helpers. We need people that are passionate.
This is fun.
Yes.
It's not work, but it does take a lot of time. It's like people don't realize that to keep a Facebook and an Instagram and a TikTok going, you need someone who's dedicated to that almost all the time.
Yeah, so
it's not easy to keep stuff going and engage with people, and it's like we've got 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people working on all of our social media consistently, so we have like new content and different voices and things happening. So it's not that easy. So with the club, what is going to be like the main focus of the club? Is it going to be more service oriented? Is it going to be more just learning, or are you going to try and hit a bunch of different things? I mean, what's the focus?
Yes, on everything. We surely want a place of teaching. I mean, everyone's hungry. Even the person that's done this for 50 years has so much they can learn and so much they can teach. So we want a place where we can have continual learning, education. We want a place where people can come in and network. They can spread there's many causes out there having to do with gardening and the earth and the soils and the air and the bugs and what makes things grow and what we eat. And there's no big avenue, and we want that to be here. And so it's going to grow as people see their vision. So if you have a vision of what a big garden club can do to help you, come and let us decide how you can get participated and we can help you. I'm a facilitator. It's not that I'm not going to do anything, but I'm starting to get calls of people just telling me, I need you to do this. And I'm like, hold on, time out. I'm going to just stop you there. You can come to the club, you can come to the meeting, the planning meeting, and you can see where you can fit in to give your vision. Yeah. And we offer that platform. And so all-encompassing, and wherever people want this club to grow, to help the community, to teach, to teaching is a big one, to just get together and social. So if we take everything I've said, socialization with our people, would be the core of it. And just by socializing is where we get our answer. We were in a planning meeting the other night, and one of the guys said, I want to come because I have an answer about a tree. Well, we had a person there that could answer that answer at our little planning meeting, that his question of his tree, and that was just through networking.
Yeah.
And so just by being together and doing the events and everything, we're going to get our answers. And what do I do? Everybody, I've got this problem. And if anybody has the knowledge in our group, they're gonna want to share it, because that's what we do. We get passionate about sharing what we've learned.
That's how it works. So we've got a few minutes before we're going to take a break at the bottom of the hour. But if you'd like to call in with garden questions, or if you're interested in the gardening club, you can call in and talk to Dave, and he might hopefully be able to answer your question about the club, since it's just getting started in its infancy. So the best numbers to call in are 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. So Will's, you've just been quiet over there, Will.
I know. I was actually enjoying it. Well, I was thinking of, as we come in to do live broadcasts at Anderson Seed and Garden, a lot of times people will come up and ask us questions. And you're right about this store. It's always been just this just gathering place for people who share a passion. And to be able to have multiple ways to be able to gather and get people together, that's part of the joy of gardening, is be able to learn from somebody else who's accidentally done something that they regretted, and then they say, hey, I want to make sure no one else does this.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of classes at the store the last few weeks, and we've had a full classroom, like every single week. So this week we did a pruning class with the extension. We talked about that. We talked about that on the radio, and that pruning class, he said he had about close to 40 people in that class. That's maxes out my classroom. And the week before, we had 30 people there for our Gardening 101 class. So it's there's some excitement in the community about doing some gardening. And we've got our grafting class is coming up on the 20th. Yeah, so that's just in 2 weeks, and that fills up really quickly. It is limited to how many people can participate, and so the grafting class does have a cost to it, but you're going to leave with a new graft or two to take home. And so they've got rootstock, they've got scions to graft onto there. So you're going to do a hands-on seminar teaching you how to graft, fruit trees. You'll be able to take something home with you as well too. So the costs really are covering the cost of the materials that you end up taking. So, but that's one where you need to go onto the USU Extension website to sign up for it. It's not one where you can just show up for the class. And like I said, it does have a cost. And the best place to find that is extension.usu.edu, and that's where you can sign up for the classes. That's a really fun class.
Well, coming up, we've got our break here at the bottom of the hour, news, sports, and weather break. Following that, take your calls, 753-5868, 1-800-369-5868. If you have a question for Dave about the garden club or all of the things going on at Anderson Seed and Garden as the Bare Root Sale has been extended. We can also talk about maybe some of the things that have happened to gardeners, things that we've learned, mistakes that we've made. I know we have a few of those, and we can share those as well. Coming up in just a few minutes here on The Garden Guide on KVNU.
This is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and a notable resource locally is CAPSA, which stands for Citizens Against Physical and Sexual Abuse. James Boyd from CAPSA was a guest this past week on KBNU's For the People program. Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson was a champion of a bill that passed in the recent session of the Utah legislature that made data sharing and coordination between different agencies like CAPSA throughout the state more streamlined. Boyd said Henderson toured CAPSA last fall.
It was also very impactful. She happened to come, and we had Captain Hooley from the Logan City Police Department, who was meeting with our caseworkers, and we were talking. There was coordinating about how we support this lethality assessment protocol that the Lieutenant Governor really has championed.
Boyd said CAPSA has great relationships with law enforcement and is grateful for their continued support. As winter storms brought more snow to the Beehive State, the bill to UDOT for de-icing materials continues to grow. It's been especially busy as the latest storm series this past week blanketed the state in a massive amount of snow. Fox 13 previously reported that from July to February, UDOT spent more than $10.5 million on de-icing materials used to ensure the safety of Utah roads. In the weeks since that report, the budget had to be expanded even more to account for additional heavy winter storms. Now UDOT's bill for de-icing has ballooned to roughly $13.5 million. Officials reassure that no matter how big the bill may be, crews will still be out on the roads clearing snow. Partly cloudy to mostly cloudy over the weekend, mid-40s Saturday, lower 50s on Sunday. For the latest news, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
From ABC Sports, I'm Dave Packer. With the NBA regular season wrapping up in the coming days, the playoff and play-in matchups are set in the Eastern Conference, but it will take one final weekend to determine 5 through 9 out west. We start with the Lakers hosting the Suns.
D'Angelo Russell for 3, good, and that should be enough.
7:10 ESPN LA on the call as LeBron James finds D'Angelo Russell 24 points from D'Lo on the night. James added 16 as the Lakers beat the Suns 121-107. They still sit a half a game behind the Clippers for the 6th seed and a game behind the Warriors for the 5th seed. Speaking of the reigning champs, the Dubs took on the Kings.
Dante gets it back, no look to Clay, has all day in the right corner. 3 more for number 11.
95.7 the game with that call on Klay Thompson's 3. He had 29 points as the Warriors maintain their 5th seed out west, breezing past the Kings 119-97. This is ABC Sport.
On the next Handle on the Law.
Dr. Pepper? Seriously?
Yes,
that's your name?
It is Dr. Pepper. Well, my name is Pepper, and I'm pretty famous here in Sacramento, California.
Are you a doctor?
I have my master's degree.
Yeah, that's not a doctor. You got to have a PhD to be a doctor. You know that. Yeah, you can't do that, Pepper.
I'm sweet like the real Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, no, you got to be. That doesn't. I understand how clever that is, but you're not Dr. Pepper.
Saturday afternoons from 1 to 4 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM, the voice of Northern Utah.
The Garden Guide with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Now 35 degrees outside the KVNU studios on a beautiful Saturday. And
it's not below 30? What?
No, looking forward. It's an Easter treat. You know, looking outside, these clouds are going to be clearing up. We're looking at a forecast of partly cloudy skies today, tomorrow, and as we were mentioning,
60s.
This next week, we're
60s.
looking at 60s.
We want 60s. Hey, we were at dinner last night at the country club with some friends and looked out, and the whole golf course is completely covered
Just
with
white.
snow. Yeah, and I was thinking, God, last year for Easter, we were up here about the same time, and They were getting ready for the Easter egg hunt, and there were like Easter eggs all over the place and stuff. And I was like, all right, a little bit different this year. And then this huge herd of elk came out onto the golf course. I've never seen elk on the golf course before. And elk do so much damage. We're just like, please don't come to my house. Please don't come to my house.
Wow. Stay up here on the country club.
There must have been 25 or 30 elk out there. And I'm just wondering if they like came over from Hardware Ranch because there's just like no food for them over there yet. So they didn't look weak and sickly. They looked very healthy, but they looked like they were maybe kind of hungry. They were out eating stuff that they probably won't be excited about them eating at the country club. But
well, we were
how do you stop the elk? You know,
we were kind of joking yesterday morning as we were looking down through all of the Easter egg hunts that are normally held today, and a lot of them still taking place. I know the Logan Downtown Alliance is doing their Easter egg walk.
Well, the Easter walk,
this morning, walk, and I had to laugh because Hiram, they normally do theirs today, and they said, we just don't have anywhere for the kids to go out.
Nowhere to go, yeah.
So they're going to do a drive-by.
There you go.
The Easter Bunny is going to be in the parking lot.
Drive-by.
And kids can just drive through the parking lot and get a couple Easter eggs that way, because where else are you going to put them?
It's going to be tough. Yeah, it's going to be tough. So I know we've had snow on Easter before. But we haven't
Just
had
not this
much
yeah.
snow on Easter before. And Easter sometimes hits in March, and most of the time hits in April. And usually by April, we have flowers out, and the leaves are kind of starting to pop on the trees a little bit. And it's going to be the 1st of May before we have flowers on our trees this year. It's just crazy.
But you and I were talking last week about how even with this delay in starting, you're going to find that a lot of the plants are still going to catch up fast.
They will catch up really fast. So, Dave, I don't know if you've experienced this, but this is what happens at our house. We can plant our peas on the 1st of March, or we can plant another set on the 1st of April, and we can plant another set on the 1st of May, and they all produce the 2nd week of July.
Wow.
So you can plant them that early, 2 months before the third crop, but they'll all still produce the 1st of July. That 1st or 2nd week of July, yeah. So that's just kind of... But the ones you plant in March and April are always better than the ones you plant in May. And so we're a little bit behind getting started, but it really won't affect those early crops as much as you think, because when it's cold and wet through March and the first part of April, it just kind of slows their production down, and nothing really happens until the soil warms up anyway. So that's just kind of how it works. But at Anderson's, we've got some great things going on. If you mention today and even next week, we've got our primrose on sale and our pansies on sale. So primrose are usually $4.99, and they are on sale for $2.50, so they're half price. And our pansies are usually $2.69, and we've got them on sale for $1.90 for a 4-pack. If you mention at the store that you heard it on the radio, you'll be able to get those special prices. So primrose on sale, $2.50, regularly $4.99, and our pansies $1.90 instead of $2.69. If you mention you heard it on the radio today on the Garden Guide. Bare root plants are in. We're planting bare root plants. Time to do your dormant spray and prune your trees if you haven't done that. And we really, if we get a chance, we really need to talk about how to perk people's lawns back up after the horrible winter, and time to get out there and get things greened up. And it's not that we have to water, but it's time to get the lawn healthy and ready for the summer as well, too. And it looks like we've got our first phone call.
We do. Kathy joining us on the line from Dayton. Kathy, welcome to the show this morning.
Good morning. I have the weirdest question. I had a plumeria plant, which died. I got fertilizer for it. Can I use that fertilizer on other plants, or is it just strictly plumeria?
What is the analysis on it? Every fertilizer has 3 numbers, which is your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. What are those 3 numbers?
That I will have to go look.
So if you have a fertilizer in your repertoire and you don't know what it works on, if you know what those numbers mean, that really makes a big difference. So first number is nitrogen. Second number is phosphorus. Third number is potassium, and they all do different things. So this is my rule of thumb, and it's a great mnemonic to help you remember what each of those do. So nitrogen greens things up and makes them grow. So I tell people to imagine in your head an arrow pointing up, and so look at that arrow pointing up, and that signifies that things are going to grow, they're going to green up, and so that's what nitrogen does. It greens up the plants.
Okay.
Phosphorus is more focused on root development, flower production, and fruit production. And so I tell people to, think of an arrow pointing down. So your arrow pointing down signifies root development, so it's going to help encourage root plants, especially like rooting vegetables, onions, potatoes, carrots, beets, things like that. But it's good for plants' root development, but also flower production and fruit production. So it's great for flowers. It's great for fruiting vegetables. And it needs that phosphorus to encourage those flowers to form on the plants and for fruit to set. The third number, potassium, kind of is an all-around nutrient that does a lot of different things, but it really helps with water absorption and uptake. So it helps the plants pick up and utilize water better. It helps spread that water through the plant. It helps pick up other nutrient and helps move that through the plant. It helps with cell structure. It helps with stem structure. It helps with disease resistance and insect resistance and drought tolerance. And it just helps facilitate a lot of processes that are happening inside the plant. And so the potassium is absolutely essential for the plants because it helps the plants utilize the nitrogen and the phosphorus better. So if your potassium amount isn't high enough, then your plants won't bloom, they won't set fruit, even if they have plenty of phosphorus. So we tell people to, okay, imagine an arrow that goes all the way around, because potassium is an all-around nutrient. And so you've got an arrow pointing up for nitrogen, an arrow pointing down for phosphorus, and an arrow that goes all the way around in potassium. And the best way to remember what those all do is this mnemonic, and it's up, down, and all around. And so if you remember up, down, and all around, and you can like see those arrows, you'll know exactly what each fertilizer does, because all fertilizers are combined differently, and there's certain plants that like more nitrogen. There's certain plants that need more phosphorus. So that really helps. Did you find your fertilizer?
Okay, this one's weird.
Yeah.
It says 0.15,
Okay.
0.85, and 0.55.
Okay, that is a formulation of a fertilizer that we actually love, and it's a formula that's lower in active ingredient, and so you've got those fractions of a percent.
Yeah.
You've got smaller percentages, but the nutrient is almost all instantly available to the plant. So we sell a fertilizer that we haven't been able to get for 2 years. That's called Eleanor's VF11, and it has almost this exact same combination, and it's
That's what this is.
Is it Eleanor's?
That's what this
I
is.
love the Eleanor's is amazing. That's what I'm saying. It's like this is a really great fertilizer for house plants, and you can use it every single time you fertilize. And it does have a higher phosphorus and a higher potassium, even though they're lower than 1%. That nutrient is chelated, so it's pre-digested for the plants to be able to pick up and utilize all that nutrient almost instantly. And so it would be great for house plants. It would be great for seedlings if you're starting seedlings indoors, and it's really good for flowering indoor plants. Absolutely. My mom used it on her African violets, and they would never stop blooming. They just bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, I have geraniums inside. The leaves on the outside are kind of starting to crumble a little bit.
Yes, you can trim those off. That would work just fine, because we're getting to the point where you could start getting those ready to go outside. Geraniums can handle a light frost, so usually first part of May you can get those outside, and if we have a little frost, it won't bother them a bit. So you can start trimming those up and getting them going. The stems look good.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. All right. Good luck with your fertilizer and your flowers, and your fertilizer would actually be really good for your geraniums. So they'd love it.
Oh, good. I will get right to that, because they're looking a little not pleasant.
All right. Hey, Kathy, thank you so much for the call and the question.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
All right.
You too.
Another call.
We do. Greg is joining us on the line from Millville. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Hey, I have an au jus pear in my garden, and the first year I had it in, it bloomed and fruited. It was beautiful. And then last year, I had the battle of the fire blight. And
yes.
I tell you what, I would trim it, and I would spray it with the copper and everything, and then I would have to trim and trim. It's basically a stick right now. And I'm wondering if I should just replace the thing.
That is a possibility. Anjou is one variety that is quite susceptible to fire blight, and so it does pick up fire blight. There are some varieties that are more resistant, and so some of my favorites that are super resistant is Harrow's Delight. I have those in stock right now, and I also usually I have Seckle. I don't know if I got the Seckle this year because it got back ordered. Seckle and Harrow's Delight are very, very fire blight resistant, and so that helps a bunch. It's always nice to try and resurrect your tree if possible, because it's got a bigger root system. It's in the ground. It's more established. If we can kind of nurse it along, it would be farther ahead than planting a new tree and hoping that it catches up. Fire blight, since it's bacterial, once it's into the tree, it doesn't matter what you spray it with. Nothing will work. You just have to prune out the infected parts. It's kind of like getting staph infection in your little toe, and if you don't get it under control, all of a sudden it's into all your toes, and it's into your foot, and it's into your ankle, and it's up to your knee, and basically have to amputate to get it to stop spreading. And so that's what happens with the trees.
That's a good visual.
Yeah. It's not pleasant, but it's accurate. So yeah, it's accurate. Unfortunately, that's how it works, and the bacteria gets into the trees in the spring when they're in bloom. And so right now, as the sap is starting to flow in the trees that have been infected will have little cankers on them that split open, and the sap oozes out of those cankers, and that's where the infection is. And then the infection will spread from those cankers to the open blossoms with wind and with rain and with bees picking up pollen and moving it around. And that's really how the disease gets spread around to the plants. It gets pushed into the cup of the flower. It moves into the circulatory system of the tree, and it starts to kill the branches from the tips, from the twigs all the way back in, and it does a lot of damage. Fortunately, there's a really cool product that came out a few years ago that is called Garden Foss. Garden Foss is a antibacterial, antifungal disease control that actually works on fire blight. And it's the only thing that I am aware of that will stop fire blight once it's already inside the trees. And it's great preventatively as well as curatively. And it will stop that infection from spreading. You still have to prune out the parts that are infected, but it'll stop it from spreading further into the tree. So at this point, you may want to treat your tree, if you want to try and resurrect it, with Garden Foss. And then while it's in bloom, we can spray it to prevent the bacteria from reinfecting the tree. If it actually has blossoms on it, it might not. But great time to fertilize it is like right now to encourage some new growth and get things going. And the Garden Foss absolutely really, really makes a big difference on trees that are infected, or if you're trying to prevent them from getting infected in the first place.
Well, if I want to hedge my bets, I should get some Garden Foss and a Harrow's Delight tree.
Yep, Harrow with an H. Yeah, Harrow's
Harrow,
Delight.
Harrow,
and Harrow's Delight is just like a Bartlett. So most of the time you can't tell the difference between a Harrow's Delight and a Bartlett, but it will be super, super resistant to fire blight.
And you do have those in?
I have the Harrow's Delight in. And Seckel is a dessert pear. It's a really, really sweet pear, and it's one that I normally stock. But as I recall, don't hold me to it, but as I recall, I think we didn't get them this year. I think they had to substitute something else because the crop wasn't as plentiful as they were hoping. So, yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thank you for the information. I guess I'll be seeing you later on.
You are so welcome, Greg. Good luck with your tree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mark, you were talking about fertilizers a little bit ago, and I had strawberries, and they just weren't doing good year after year, and the strawberries were kind of mushy, and they weren't that good, and as I mentioned before, my forte is annuals, and so I do have my berry and vegetable garden, but it's honestly not my top priority, but I want my strawberries to do good, a pretty long row, and they just weren't doing good, so I researched it, and I'll be darned if you're not supposed to put nitrogen on strawberries in the spring.
Exactly.
I was putting a heavy dose, go to my raspberries and put a big dose of nitrogen, and I was putting them on my strawberries, and as I'm putting my high nitrogen, even urea on my lawn, and don't do that unless you know what you're doing, you guys, but that's my little trick, but I feel sorry for the person that doesn't understand urea, but I was putting urea on my lawn early in the spring when it was cold, and I was letting it overflow into my strawberries, and that was my reasoning, and so I figured that out after the beginning of last year, after I put it on, and again, a terrible year of strawberries, so this will be my first year I've had these strawberries probably 6 years, and they've just never done good, and I thought maybe I need to thin them out, and I'm trying all these things, and I didn't study it like I should have. It was very clear online. If you just look, internet's wonderful for us gardeners, and so don't put a bunch of high nitrogen on your strawberries in the spring. Yeah. And I didn't know that. So
the raspberries absolutely need a high nitrogen.
Right.
So we recommend a high nitrogen with sulfur and iron because they're always iron deficient. So Iron Plus is great because it's got a nice dose of iron and sulfur and nitrogen. It's wonderful for the raspberries. But the strawberries need a little bit different fertilizer because they don't have so much growth on them like the raspberries do. And that's where all the new growth is on the raspberries. That's where the fruit production is going to be. So. Yeah.
And I did get my strawberries at Anderson's. I will say that.
We've got some awesome varieties of strawberries this year. So we have Albion and Seascape for everbearing, and we have a brand new June-bearing variety that is called Summer Surprise. And it's supposed to be amazing. It's an offshoot of Honey Eye, which is one that we have sold for years and years. Large fruit, really sweet, super productive, and very, very early producing. So we can hardly wait to try it. So, no, it's not Summer Surprise. It is Sunrise. Summer Sunrise, I think. It's brand new, so I'm just like struggling to remember the variety. So, but it is an offshoot, like a offspring. There we go, offspring of Honey Eye. So it should be absolutely amazing. We've got a few minutes left in the show. If we want to get a couple callers in still, 753-5868, 753-KVNU. You have a few minutes to call in and join our show here on the Garden Guide. And we're here with Dave with the Cash Garden Club. So exciting for the club to get started. Your first event is the 19th of April
at the fairgrounds,
6 o'clock.
Right.
And you're going to try and meet monthly and,
Yes.
and do like special guests and lecturers and training
and to be with our people, and we're going to grow from there. I don't have an exact format. The problem that we ran into is the fairgrounds couldn't give us the exact same night of each month, like the third Wednesday of each month.
Right.
So we're kind of sporadic, but we are scheduled out through the year, and our next meeting will be May 31st.
Hey, when the new library is going, which will be this fall, there's going to be another meeting place there, which will be wonderful.
What a great
Can
thing
hardly
that'll
wait
be.
for the library. Yeah,
Looks like you got another caller.
Be super nice. Yes, another caller.
Janet's joining us on the line from Franklin. Janet, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks so much. I'm excited about the garden club. That's awesome.
Thank you.
It is something that's been needed. But my question is, in my raspberry patch, I live where it's a little bit colder than in Logan, and I've still got 1.5 to 2 of snow covering my raspberry
I can't
patch.
believe that. I know.
So do we.
Isn't that crazy? So I can't get in there and get it out. But
Yes.
the Cazeron.
Yes.
I always get it on too late because it'll be too cold, and then I got green shoots.
Yep.
And so what I'm trying to figure out is, I know it's activated by moisture.
Yes.
But could I cast it on the snow?
As long as you let the snow get down low enough, it would be all right. And I think
that's what I'm wondering. What's low enough?
I think this week we're going to lose all of our snow. If we get a couple days of 60-degree temperatures, except for where the snowblower has piled at 6 feet high, all of that snow is going to be gone. So the minute that you get down to like an inch or two of snow, you could put it on top, and it would just get right into the soil as soon as that snow melted out, which would probably be later that day. Really, you look at the forecast, and we've got 50s and 60s for the next week. And if we get a little rainstorm on Friday, that's going to finish it off. And so our morning, nighttime temperatures are staying warmer, and so I think that's going to happen. Usually with Cazeron, you want to put it on as soon as the snow melts off before the new shoots come up. So the earlier, the better, and then you're good for the rest of the year. And for our listeners that don't know what Cazeron is, Cazeron will kill weeds and grasses, but it won't kill woody plants, and that includes cane plants. So raspberries, roses, blackberries, grapes, trees, shrubs, anything that's got a bark on it or is a woody plant, Cazeron won't affect it, but it basically kills everything else. And so it will stop all those weeds from coming up in your raspberries for the entire year. You've had really good results with it in the past, haven't you, Janet?
Oh, that is the one product that I cannot live without.
Yeah. It saves so much work and just stops all those weeds from coming up, and then your raspberries just go like crazy. So the earlier you can put it on, the better, but I would wait till your snow gets down to at least 4 to 6 inches or less, or you can just wait for it just to melt off, because it's still going to be muddy, and I don't think the raspberries are going to be doing anything because the soil's so cold. So the day that your snow melts, that's going to be the perfect time to put your Cazeron on.
Okay, thanks. Because, oddly enough, you couldn't find the instructions about snow on the label.
No, I don't think so. That's because most everybody doesn't have to deal with the snow this long.
Right? But anyways, okay, I just wanted to make sure it wouldn't do anything it wasn't supposed to if I did that. So thank you.
Yeah. Yes, unusual circumstances this year, Janet. So,
right, highly.
Yeah. So.
All right, thanks so much.
Thanks for calling. You have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.
We'll see you.
We've almost wrapped up. We've got about 2.5 minutes left.
Okay, so we gotta at least tell everybody there's fun things happening at Anderson's. All the bare root plants are in, all the spring early crops are in, all the seeds are ready to go, and we've got a special going on our primrose today. Regularly $4.99, on sale for $2.50 if you mention that you heard it on the Garden Guide today. And our pansy 4-packs are regularly $2.69, and they're on sale for $1.90. So really good price on those for the 4-packs. If you mention it, you heard it on the show today as well, too. So lots and lots of fun things happening at Anderson's in the next couple of weeks. Grafting class.
Yeah.
Open house on the 20th through the 22nd.
And then the planting event.
And the planting event on the 29th. And it was wonderful to have you here, Dave.
Could I say
for the Cash Garden Club?
else real
No,
quick?
no,
Okay.
there's no more time for you to
All
say
right, thanks,
anything.
everybody.
Go ahead.
Hey, if I could put a plea out there for all the past master gardeners, for all the splinter groups, for everybody gardening in Cache Valley, please come to our first meeting and be a part of this. This is our long-awaited opportunity. Don't say, well, I'll wait until see if it gets going or whatever. It's dependent on everybody here to get this club going. I'm going to facilitate it. It's a wonderful opportunity. Please take it serious. This is your time. This is for all of us to get together with our people and start this. Come now. Help us build, help us grow. Please, please, please become a part of this wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
Great way to socialize with other gardeners. Great way to get together and learn and hopefully have some service opportunities as well, too. So I think you got a little bit of everything for everyone that wants to do it.
CashGardenClub.com. Just go there and look it up.
And Dave, remind everyone, when is that first meeting?
It is April 19th at 6 p.m. at the Event Center at the Fairgrounds. A wonderful new building. I have to say, I'm so happy that our county decided to build that.
Yep. It's right before our spring open house, which is the 20th through the 22nd. So
Takes off that
good
weekend.
timing. Get people excited about it, then they can come and see what fun stuff we have at Anderson's Seed and Garden. So super. Will, thank you.
Don't forget, bare root sale extended.
Yep.
And sale today on primroses.
On primroses and pansies. Yep. And all those early crops are rolling in. So we've got vegetables in the greenhouse. We've got pansies. We've got primroses. We've got bulbs. We've got bare root, everything to plant. Small fruits, large fruits. Okay. And the vegetable seeds are all here. It's just like time to get rolling at Anderson Seed and Garden.
All right. And join us again next week for the Garden Guide.
KVNU, Logan. Proud to be locally owned and operated by the Cache Valley Media Group.